The repair tunnel smelled like oil and old metal. Lena crawled through the narrow space with her toolkit banging against her hip. Third shift meant the whole station was quiet except for the hum of life support systems. She liked it this way. No supervisors asking questions. No other workers making small talk. Just her and the broken machines that needed fixing. She reached the atmospheric regulator and pulled out her scanner. The readings made no sense. Everything showed normal, but the air pressure kept dropping in the eastern section. Lena frowned and followed the conduit deeper into the maintenance area. Nobody came here anymore. This whole wing had been abandoned 6 weeks ago when the dragons stopped flying. Lena didn't know much about dragons. She was just a technician who fixed things when they broke. But everyone on Draconir Station knew the dragons hadn't left their roost since Commander Vol died. The old dragon leader had been sick for months before passing. Now the massive creatures just stayed hidden away while the Galactic Council argued about what to do next. The conduit led her to a massive door she'd never seen before. It stood half open. Lena squeezed through and found herself in an enormous chamber. Her breath caught. Perches carved from stone rose toward the ceiling. Old burn marks scarred the walls. This was a dragon space. She should leave. Regular workers weren't allowed in dragon areas. But the pressure leak was definitely coming from here. Lena moved forward carefully and saw him. The dragon lay in the center of the chamber like a mountain of dark scales. He was bigger than any ship Lena had ever worked on. His eyes were closed. His wings folded tight against his body. Even his scales looked dull and lifeless. Lena froze. Dragons were dangerous. Everyone knew that. But this one looked like he was dying. She took a step closer, then another. The dragon didn't move. "Hey," she said softly. "Are you okay?" No response. Lena walked around him slowly. She found a leak in a damaged air vent near his head. Easy fix. She pulled out her tools and got to work. The whole time she kept glancing at the dragon. He never opened his eyes. When the repair was done, Lena sat down on the floor near his massive head. She should go. Her shift was almost over. But something about the dragon reminded her of herself after her parents died. That hollow, empty feeling when you're too tired to care about anything. "I know you probably can't understand me," Lena said. "But being alone is the worst part. Trust me, I've been alone since I was 7. She pulled out her ration bar and broke it in half. One piece she ate. The other she placed near the dragon's mouth. "You should eat something. I know you don't feel like it. I didn't either for a long time. But you have to keep going." The dragon's eye cracked open. Just a sliver. Lena held her breath. That was like molten gold. Ancient and sad. Then it closed again. Lena finished her food and stood up. "I'll come back tomorrow. Check on you." She didn't know why she said it. The dragon probably didn't care. But she meant it anyway. She returned the next night. And the night after that. Each time she brought part of her rations and talked while she ate. She told the dragon about her day. About the broken coolant system on Deck 7. About the annoying supervisor who never remembered her name. About her parents who died in a freighter accident when she was little down the 5th night. The food she'd left was gone down the 10th night. The dragon scales looked slightly brighter on the 15th night. Another dragon appeared in the doorway. This one had pearl-colored scales and watched Lena with intelligent eyes. Lena waved nervously. The pearl dragon tilted her head and left without a sound. Lena didn't know that dragons understood every word she said. She didn't know that the big dragon she'd been visiting was named Ash. She didn't know he was the oldest and strongest dragon on the station. She just knew he seemed a little less sad each time she visited Point 3 weeks after she first found him. The station shook with a violent alarm. Hull breach in the lower levels. Lena dropped her tools and ran. Her training kicked in automatically. Seal the breach. Save the ship. Nothing else mattered. She reached the breach point and saw it was worse than reported. The tear in the hull was spreading, and it was right next to the dragon roost. If the hull gave way completely, the entire section would decompress. The dragons would be exposed to vacuum. Lena grabbed emergency sealant and started working. Her hands moved fast, but the breach kept growing. Metal screamed as pressure built. She knew she should evacuate. The whole section was going to blow, but the dragons were in there. Ash was in there. Lena kept working even as the breach started to rupture. She heard the roar of escaping air, felt the pull of decompression. Then something grabbed her, a massive claw wrapped around her body gently but firmly. Lena looked up and saw Ash. The dragon's wings were spread wide. His eyes blazed with golden fire. He'd been silent and still for 6 weeks. Now he moved with speed that took her breath away. Ash pulled Lena close to his chest and covered the breach with his body. Dragon fire poured from his mouth, hotter than any welding torch. The metal melted and fused. The breach sealed. The roar of escaping air stopped. Slowly, Ash lowered Lena to the floor. She was shaking. Her ears were ringing, but she was alive. All around them, dragons emerged from the roost. 6 of them, 7 counting Ash. They stood in a circle staring at Lena. She'd never felt so small that a younger dragon with frost-white scales whispered something that sounded like words. Another dragon, this one deep red, moved closer to examine her. The pearl dragon from before stepped forward. She looked at Lena for a long moment. Then she bowed her head one by one. The other dragons did the same. All except Ash, who was still watching Lena with those ancient golden eyes. She didn't understand what was happening. Didn't understand why they were all staring at her. She'd just been trying to help. That's all she ever did. Fix things. Help where she could. It wasn't special. But to the dragons, it was everything. White walls and beeping machines. Lena woke up confused with tubes in her arm and a blanket that smelled like antiseptic. The medical bay. She tried to sit up, but her whole body ached. Easy now. An old man with gray hair appeared beside her bed. I'm Dr. Wells. You've been unconscious for 12 hours. Lena blinked at him. Her memory came back in pieces. The breach. The dragons. Ash saving her life. The whole breach. Is everyone okay? Everyone's fine thanks to you and your dragon friend. Dr. Wells smiled. Speaking of which, he hasn't moved from that perch outside since we brought you in. Lena turned her head. Through the window, she could see a massive dark shape on the landing platform. Ash. He sat perfectly still, watching the medical bay. Waiting. What? The word came out as a whisper, doctor. Wells sat down in the chair beside her bed. That's what everyone wants to know. Dragons haven't spoken to anyone in 6 weeks. Now, suddenly they want to talk, but only through you. That doesn't make sense. I'm nobody. I just fix pipes. Dragons don't see it that way. Dr. Wells pulled up a data pad. I've studied them for 40 years. They choose their commanders through something they call heart recognition. It's not about rank or power. It's about finding someone whose heart matches their purpose. Lena shook her head. I don't understand any of this. Before Dr. Wells could answer, the door opened. Director Hayes walked in with 2 security guards. He was a thin man with a sharp face and eyes that never looked friendly. Miss Cross, we need to discuss what you did to manipulate that dragon. I didn't do anything, Lena said. Don't lie. We have footage of you entering restricted areas, approaching a dangerous creature without authorization. Now it follows you around like a pet. What did you do? I talked to him, brought him food. That's all. Hayes leaned closer. Dragons don't form bonds over casual conversation. You must have done something. Some technique or technology. She saved his life. The voice came from the doorway. A dragon with pearl-colored scales stood there. Her head barely fit through the entrance. May I speak with the girl? He stepped back quickly. Dragons were huge, and this one looked annoyed. This is highly irregular. So is accusing someone of manipulation when they showed simple kindness. The Pearl Dragon's voice was calm but firm. She looked at Lena. I am Pearl. May I have a moment alone with you? Hayes wanted to argue, but security regulations were clear. You didn't say no to a dragon unless you wanted problems. He left with his guards, muttering about filing reports. Pearl moved into the room carefully. Even trying to be gentle, she seemed too large for the space. You don't remember me, but I watched you those first few nights. I saw you talking to Ash when he wouldn't respond to anyone. Not even us. I didn't know he could understand me, Lena admitted. We understand every language in the galaxy. We're old. Very old. Pearl settled down on the floor. I want to tell you something. I was orphaned 3,000 years ago. Lost my entire flight to war. I stopped eating. Stopped flying. Stopped caring if I lived or died. Lena listened quietly. Commander Vol found me on a dead world. He didn't try to command me, didn't order me to get better. He just sat beside me until I was ready to fly again. Sometimes for days. Just sitting there, being present. That's what I did with Ash, Lena said softly. Exactly. You didn't try to fix him. You just refused to let him be alone. That's the heart of a dragon commander. But I can't be a commander. I don't know how. I barely graduated basic education. I've never led anyone. Pearl's eyes were kind. Commander Vol was a cargo hauler when we met him. Had no military training, no special skills, but he understood why we guard, why we protect. That understanding matters more than training. Over the next 2 days, Lena learned more about dragons than she thought possible. Pearl explained their history, how they'd been warriors and empire builders millions of years ago, how they'd given it all up to become guardians because they believed strength should protect, not dominate. Commander Vol was the first being in 2,000 years we deemed worthy of leading us, Pearl said. We thought it might be another 2,000 before we found another. Then you appeared. What if I'm not good enough? Ash is 3,000 years old. He's watched civilizations rise and fall. He doesn't make mistakes about hearts. But not everyone agreed. A dragon with deep red scales appeared outside the medical bay on the 3rd day. His name was Crimson, and he looked angry. The girl is too young, he said to Pearl. Ash is grief mad. She'll get us all killed. Lena was released from medical that afternoon. Crimson was waiting. You want to be a dragon commander? Prove you have courage. Fly with me. Is that safe? Dr. Wells asked nervously. For her? Probably not. Dragon flight generates forces that break human bones. Crimson's smile showed far too many teeth. But if she wants to lead us, she needs to understand what we are. Lena looked at Pearl. The Pearl Dragon nodded slightly. This was a test. Refusing Crimson would never accept her. Accept and she might die. Okay, Lena said. Crimson seemed surprised. You're serious? If you're willing to carry me, I'm willing to fly. The flight was terrifying. Crimson took her through asteroid fields and around the station's superstructure. He spun and dove and rolled. Lena's stomach lurched. Her vision went gray from the G-forces. But she didn't scream, didn't beg him to stop. Instead, she laughed. She'd spent her whole life crawling through maintenance tunnels, never seeing the stars up close, never feeling truly free. This was incredible. Faster, she said. Crimson made a sound like surprise and accelerated. They shot past other ships, blasted through a debris field, came so close to the station that Lena could have touched the hull. When they finally landed, Lena stumbled but stayed on her feet. Crimson stared at her. You're insane. Maybe, but so are you for going that fast with a passenger. Crimson laughed. It was a rough sound like rocks grinding together. You might actually survive us after all. That night, alarms screamed across the station. 12 pirate ships had entered the sector. 6 civilian freighters were in their path. The pirates' new dragons had been grounded for weeks. They'd chosen this moment to attack. Lena stood in the command center, watching the tactical display. Captain Stone was calling for reinforcements, but they were hours away. Station weapons couldn't reach the pirates in time. Ash appeared in the doorway. His golden eyes found Lena across the room. The question was unspoken but clear. Everyone turned to look at her. Director Hayes, Captain Stone, a dozen technicians and officers, all waiting, all expecting her to know what to do. Lena didn't feel ready, didn't feel qualified. But 6 ships full of families were about to die if someone didn't act. She looked at Ash. Will you fly with me? The dragon's wings spread wide. Around the station, 5 more dragons emerged from the roost for the first time in 6 weeks. Space was silent and cold. Lena held onto Ash's dorsal ridge as he flew through the darkness between stars. She had no armor, no proper equipment, just a borrowed headset and her maintenance uniform. Below them, 6 civilian freighters tried desperately to outrun 12 pirate vessels. 0.5 other dragons flew beside Ash in perfect formation. Pearl's scales caught starlight like mirrors. Slate moved with tactical precision. Crimson burned hot with barely controlled aggression. Frost left trails of ice crystals. Bronze flew steady and sure. Freighter captains, "This is Lena Cross." She spoke into the headset, hoping she sounded more confident than she felt. "Dragons are moving to protect you. When we take position, maintain your course. Don't scatter." "Who are you?" one captain asked. "Someone trying to help. Please trust me." Ash's voice rumbled through her bones rather than her ears. "What's the plan?" Lena had studied Commander Val's journals while recovering in medical. One entry kept repeating in her mind. A guardian stands in harm's way not because they cannot be hurt, but because those behind them must not be. We don't attack. We shield. Position between the pirates and freighters. Make the pirates come to us. Slate spoke up through the Dragon communication channel. That's defensive suicide. We'll be exposed to concentrated fire, but it forces them into close quarters where you have the advantage. They're overconfident. Their formation is sloppy. Make them regret getting close. There was a moment of silence. Then Pearl laughed. She's been reading Val's journals. I like her. The dragons took position in a wall formation between the fleeing freighters and pursuing pirates. Lena watched her display as pirate ships closed the distance. Their leader, a scarred human named Harrow, was talking to his crew. She could hear them through intercepted communications. 6 dragons? They used to send 20 for convoy duty. They're broken. Punch through them. The pirates opened fire. Energy weapons and missiles streaked through space toward the dragon line. Ash's shields flared as he absorbed hits. Pearl and Bronze took damage on either side, but they held position. Rotate shields, Lena called out. Pearl dropped back. Bronze forward. Keep the wall solid. The dragons moved smoothly. 3,000 years of practice showed in every coordinated shift. The pirates kept firing, kept closing distance. Harrow was laughing on the communications channel. Lena waited. Watched the tactical display. Counted seconds. The pirates were almost in position. Close enough that their own crossfire would be a problem. Close enough that dragon advantages would multiply. Now, Crimson and Frost break wide. Ash straight through. Everyone else follow. The dragon formation exploded into coordinated chaos. Crimson used solar flare breath to blind targeting sensors. Frost flash froze maneuvering thrusters on 2 ships. Bronze rammed through a frigate's engine section with his stone-hard scales. Pearl's precision strikes disabled weapons without destroying ships. And Ash moved with the speed and power of 3 millennia of combat experience. He was everywhere at once. Protecting, striking, coordinating the others through bonds Lena couldn't fully understand. Hostile at Mark 732, Lena called out. A pirate ship was trying to flank toward the freighters. Slate intercepted before it could get close. Break left, 3 seconds. Lena warned Ash about incoming missiles. He rolled, and the missiles shot past harmlessly. Harrow wasn't laughing anymore. His careful ambush was falling apart. He targeted Ash specifically, calling 3 ships to converge. Kill the big one. Their whole strategy breaks without him. 3 pirate ships focused fire on Ash. His shields flared brighter. Lena felt the dragon's pain through their strange connection. He was taking massive damage to protect her. She saw the problem immediately. Ash couldn't maneuver properly while keeping her safe. His movements were limited, restricted. He was being hurt because of her. Ash, there's an escape pod from that damaged freighter. 15 meters to starboard. Get me there. You'll die in seconds, Ash said. Not if I'm sealed in the pod. You need to fight at full capacity. That's insane. Slate protested over communications. Just do it. Ash barrel rolled and placed Lena perfectly to grab the drifting escape pod. She maglocked herself inside the tiny capsule and sealed it. The space was barely large enough to breathe, but she was safe and Ash was free. The ancient dragon tore into his attackers with terrifying efficiency. He crippled all 3 ships in 90 seconds. The other dragons rallied, fighting with renewed intensity. The pirate formation broke. Ships scattered into hyperspace, fleeing for their lives. Pearl retrieved Lena's pod gently. The 6 freighters were safe. 400 lives saved. 0 casualties. When they returned to Draconeer Station, crowds had gathered to watch. Maintenance crews, family members, station personnel. Everyone cheered as the dragons landed. Lena emerged from the pod shaking. Adrenaline crash hit her hard. Ash immediately moved close, concerned. "You risked everything," he said softly. "So did you. That's what Guardians do." Crimson approached and bowed his head. "You flew with us. Bled with us. That's enough for me." The other dragons murmured agreement. Even Slate looked satisfied. "Commander Vol would have done exactly what you did." But not everyone was happy. General Cross appeared with armed guards. He was a four-armed military commander from a warrior species. His face showed pure fury. "You violated chain of command. Launched unauthorized combat operations. Dragons are not yours to command." Director Hayes surprisingly stepped between them. "She saved 400 civilians. File whatever reports you want." An alien with crystalline features materialized nearby. Ambassadeur qui luctuorid. The Galactic Council is demanding formal hearings. They want to determine dragon authority officially. Councillor Bren has been gathering votes. He wants dragons registered as council property. Lena felt cold. What does that mean? It means in 3 days you'll stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They'll decide if dragons remain free or become controlled weapons. Qui posed. And if dragons resist registration, there could be war. That night, Lena sat with Ash on his perch. The adrenaline was gone. Now she just felt exhausted and scared. "I can't do this," she whispered. "Face the council. Convince politicians." "I don't know how." Ash was quiet for a long moment. "Vol said something to me once when he was young. He said the hardest thing about being a guardian is knowing you can't save everyone, but trying anyway. You understand that already. The council just needs to see it." Lena pulled out her parents' rings from the chain around her neck, looked at them in the starlight. "I wish they were here. They'd know what to say. They gave you the heart that brought you to me. That's enough." In the ancient roost, the other dragons gathered. Braun spoke first. "The girl has heart, but does she have wisdom?" Slate considered this. "The council will try to control her, use her against us." Crimson was blunt. "Or they'll remove her and appoint someone like that military fool." Pearl's voice was calm. "So we make it clear? She stand with us or no one does." Frost, the youngest, asked the real question. "What if they force the issue? What if they try to take our freedom?" The dragons went silent. They remembered the last time their kind went to war. 5,000 years ago. Entire star systems had burned. Ash finally spoke. "There won't be war. Lena won't let it come to that. She'll find another way. She always does." Below in her small quarters, Lena read Commander Vol's journals deep into the night. One entry caught her attention. They don't need someone perfect. They need someone who will stand when it would be easier to run, who will guard when it would be safer to hide. Dragons don't bond with heroes. They bond with hearts that understand sacrifice. Lena closed the journal and tried to sleep. In 3 days, she would face the Galactic Council. In 3 days, everything she'd built would be tested. She dreamed of fire and stars and ancient wings carrying her through darkness. The council world was artificial, a constructed sphere larger than most moons, covered in buildings that reached toward the sky. Millions of beings from across the galaxy lived here. Government workers, diplomats, representatives of civilizations Lena had never heard of. She felt microscopic walking through the corridors. Ambassador Co walked beside her, coaching her on protocol. Slate followed behind, his massive form barely fitting through passages designed for smaller beings. Counselor Bren will argue that dragons are too dangerous to remain independent, Kerr explained. He represents the Thalorians. They're a hive mind species. They see individuality as chaos. Unpredictable power frightens them. What do I say to that? Lena asked. The truth. Dragons have protected the galaxy for 2,000 years. Their record speaks for itself. But Lena knew it wasn't that simple. Fear didn't care about records. The council chamber was enormous, carved from living crystal that glowed with soft light. 47 different species had representatives there. Some looked humanoid. Others were so alien Lena couldn't tell which end was their head. All of them stared at her as she entered. Lena was placed in the petitioner's circle, the lowest point in the room. Everyone else looked down at her from tiered seating. Slate had to wait outside. Dragons weren't permitted in formal proceedings, She had never felt more alone. Counselor Bren spoke first. His species looked like giant insects with clicking mandibles. A translator rendered his words into something Lena could understand. We gather to discuss the dragon situation. Ancient weapons with no accountability. They refuse council directives. Operate without oversight. This cannot continue. He showed footage of dragons refusing orders over the centuries. Framed every incident as insubordination. Made them look dangerous and rebellious. I proposed the Dragon Integration Protocol. All dragons registered. All actions monitored. All operations subject to council approval. Several species voiced support. The Vrex representative stood. Dragons destroyed our moon 3,000 years ago during the Consolidation Wars. We haven't forgotten. The Kalari delegate added, they hoard technology, refuse to share knowledge, act like they're above the law. Ambassador could try to defend dragons. They've protected council interests for 2 millennia without major incident. Bren had responses ready. Protection we didn't request. Intervention in sovereign matters. Decisions made without consultation. Effective guardians perhaps, but untrustworthy ones. The argument shifted from whether dragons worked to whether they could be controlled. Lena watched and realized this wasn't about facts. It was about fear. These powerful beings were uncomfortable with power they couldn't command. An elderly alien with silver skin and ancient eyes called for order. This was the arbiter, a neutral judge. He turned to Lena. You claim to speak for dragons. Yet you're human, young, with no credentials. Why should we acknowledge this irregular situation? Every being in the chamber looked at Lena. Thousands of eyes, thousands of species, all waiting. She didn't try to sound important, just told the truth. I don't claim anything. Dragon chose-me. I was a maintenance technician who found an injured dragon and sat with him because nobody should be alone. That's all. She explained how she met Ash. The nights talking to him while he grieved. The hull breach. The rescue. You want to know why dragons chose me? Because I didn't try to command them. I just understood that some things matter more than following orders. Bren interrupted. Touching story, but irrelevant. We need guaranteed compliance, not sentiment. He brought up the pirate incident. She launched military action without approval. Endangered herself in combat. This recklessness is exactly what we can't tolerate. General Cross testified against her. Director Hayes surprisingly defended her. Captain Stone provided tactical analysis. The chamber divided between those who valued results and those who valued control. The vote began. Species after species agreed to the integration protocol. Lena watched her chance slipping away. If this passed, dragons would never accept it. They'd leave. The galaxy would lose its greatest guardians. Stop. Lena's voice cut through the proceedings. Before you vote, understand what you're actually choosing. The arbiter allowed her to speak. You're not voting for security. You're voting to lose the only guardians who protected you because they believed in it, not because they were forced. Commander Vol spent 300 years proving dragons could be trusted. This vote ends that. She looked around the chamber. Dragons don't submit. They choose. If you try to chain them, they'll leave. Then what? You'll have control over nothing instead of partnership with the strongest guardians in the galaxy. Lena took a breath. Give me 1 year. Let me prove willing guardianship works better than forced compliance. If I fail, implement whatever protocols you want. But if I succeed, acknowledge that some things work better when chosen, not commanded. Bren objected immediately. Unacceptable. 1 year of unsupervised dragon activity? The risk is too great. But something changed in the chamber. Presence requests started filing in. 17 species ambassadors wanted to speak. Each represented worlds where dragons had intervened recently. The freighter Captain Tam appeared via hologram. Those dragons saved my ship, my family. That girl knew exactly what she was doing. I'm alive because of her. One by one, testimonials came. A colony evacuated during solar flare. A military unit protected from overwhelming force. A medical transport escorted through hostile territory. Ambassador Ka highlighted the pattern. These interventions happened during the gray time when dragons supposedly had no leadership. They continued protecting because it's who they are. Miss Cross didn't create this. She recognized it. The tide began to shift. Some counselors reconsidered. The Vrex representative spoke again. My people remember what dragons did 3,000 years ago. But we also remember the 72 times they've protected us since. Perhaps the question isn't how to control them, but whether we need to. The arbiter proposed a compromise. 6 months probationary period. Quarterly reports to a council liaison. Dragons maintain independence, but agree to transparency. If successful, the integration protocol is shelved permanently. The vote on the compromise passed by narrow margin. Bren was furious but bound by the decision. Cross stormed out. Lena had bought time. 6 months to prove everything. Outside the chamber, Slate waited. He knew the outcome before she spoke. 6 months, Lena said quietly. Then we'll prove it. Together. But Ambassador Ka looked worried. If you fail, dragons lose their independence forever. If I hadn't tried, they'd have lost it today. On the journey back to Draconeer Station, emergency transmission interrupted them. Colony under attack. Territorial dispute between two species turning violent. 50,000 civilians caught in the middle. This was her first test under council observation. A political nightmare with no clear solution. There's no good guys in this one, Captain Stone said grimly. Just people about to kill each other. Lena stared at the tactical display and wondered what Commander Vol would do. 2 battle fleets faced each other across a mining colony. The Havori Empire on one side, crystalline beings who claimed ancestral rights to the asteroid field. The Trellan Confederation on the other, mammalian warriors who developed the region for a century. Between them, 50,000 colonists who just wanted to survive. Lena's ship arrived to find active skirmishes already happening. The Havori were blocking supply routes. The Trellans were launching defensive raids. Both sides preparing for full war. This is worse than we thought, Captain Stone said, studying the displays. Council mediation already failed. Both sides rejected arbitration. Only 4 dragons were available. Ash, Pearl, Slate, and Frost. For dragons against 2 full battle fleets. Impossible odds if fighting started. The colony administrator was a desperate alien named Rith. Council abandoned us weeks ago, so it was politically complicated. Our children are starving and they're arguing about sovereignty. Lena looked at her dragons. We can't want to fight against 2 fleets. We have to prevent it from starting. Ash wanted to evacuate immediately. Get civilians clear before violence escalated. But Slate disagreed. If we evacuate, both sides see it as abandonment. They'll escalate to full war. Pearl suggested protecting the colony from both sides. Create a neutral zone. Any ship that fired toward civilians would be disabled. Lena made her decision. Dragons positioned themselves in orbital pattern around the colony. She transmitted to both fleets. This colony is under neutral protection. Fight your war elsewhere. The Havori commander responded with fury. You have no authority here. This is sovereign territory. The Trellan war leader was equally angry. Move your dragons, or we'll move them for you. A Trellan cruiser tested the perimeter. Frost intercepted without attacking, just blocking the path. The cruiser fired warning shots. Frost's shields absorbed them without response. The captain grew frustrated and prepared main weapons. Ash moved to support Frost. The message was clear. Attack 1 dragon, face all forward, but Lena ordered Ash to hold position. We're not here to fight. We're here to protect. She opened direct communication with the Trellan captain. His name was Rex, a massive scarred warrior. You're not my enemy. The situation is, help me end this without more bloodshed. Rex seemed confused. You're not choosing sides? What kind of tactic is that? The kind that saves lives. The Havori fleet made a similar attempt from the opposite direction. Pearl intercepted the same way. Pure defense. No aggression. But Havori communicated through light pulses that were harder to understand. Slate translated. They're saying we're interfering in justice. They believe this territory is ancestral right. Lena studied the situation and realized both sides actually had legitimate claims. Havori ancestors originated in this system. Trellans invested infrastructure and labor. Neither was wrong. They just couldn't see past their own perspective Colony Administrator Rith revealed critical information. The civilians don't care who owns the asteroids. We just want to live. Both sides have been good to us. The colony has mixed population. Havori and Trellin families. Neighbors becoming enemies. Lena requested permission to speak with fleet commanders in person. Havori refused. Trellins agreed out of curiosity. She shuttled to the Trellin flagship with only Pearl as escort. Captain Rex was every inch the warrior. Massive, scarred, intimidating. Lena spoke plainly. You don't want to kill those people. War has casualties. It's unfortunate, but necessary. Commander Vol once said the strongest beings aren't the ones who can destroy. They're the ones who can stop themselves from destroying when they have the power to. She showed him footage of the colony. Trellin children playing with Havori children. Mixed families. Your people are down there. Are you going to bomb them to make a point? Rex was moved, but bound by honor. My war chief demands victory. Retreat is dishonor. What would you have me do? Not retreat. Stand down in defense of civilians. There's no dishonor in protecting the innocent. Meanwhile, Slate communicated with the Havori fleet. Dragons and Havori both lived thousands of years. Slate found an elder who remembered ancient dragon mediations. Your kind once helped us find peace. Can you do so again? Lena proposed joint governance. Both sides maintain claims, but agree to cooperative development. Profit split. Both cultures represented in administration. Rex liked the idea, but needed approval. Havori elders supported it, but younger commanders saw it as weakness. Time was running out. Then an explosion rocked the colony's life support facility. Investigation revealed sabotage by extremists from both sides. Militants who wanted war to continue had worked together to ensure conflict. 12 colonists died. Dozens injured. Both fleets blamed each other and prepared for full engagement. Dragons couldn't hold back two determined battle fleets. Lena faced impossible choices. The 4 dragons gathered privately. Ash spoke first. We stand. We don't abandon those who need us. Frost was practical. We can't win this fight. We'll die. Pearl's voice was calm. Then we died doing what we were born to do. Some things are worth the cost. Slate searched for alternatives. Vol would find another way. There's always another way. Lena remembered something from Vol's journals. The best defense is making war impossible. She realized the extremists needed the fleets fighting. If both sides saw the manipulation, the mutual enemy, they might stand down. She demanded both fleet commanders meet at the colony. I can prove who really attacked, but you have to hear it. Rex agreed, respecting her courage. Havori eventually consented out of curiosity that in the colony's central dome, 3 factions faced each other. Lena presented evidence Frost had collected. Communications showing extremists from both sides planning together. They didn't care about their people's interests, just wanted power through chaos. The revelation stunned everyone. Rex and the Havori commander, Prelate Surin, both felt betrayed and manipulated. Their first moment of unity was shared fury at being used. Lena pushed. You both want justice. Start by giving it to the ones who died here. Joint investigation launched. Arrests made on both sides. Militants identified and removed. Didn't solve the territorial dispute, but created foundation for negotiation. Both sides agreed to temporary ceasefire and joint council. The colony was saved. 50,000 beings alive. War prevented through diplomacy rather than force. Captain Rex approached before departing. You fought without fighting. There's honor in this. Prelate Surin agreed. You showed us we were looking at the wrong enemy. That night, Lena collapsed from exhaustion. She'd been awake 40 hours. Captain Stone brought food. Vol's tactics, but your heart. You did good. I don't know if I can do this 15 more times in 6 months. Vol probably said the same thing. Then he did it for 300 years. But Dr. Wells sent a coded warning. General Cross was lobbying council members, building a case that Lena's methods were too passive, arguing for military solutions. Worse, Lena noticed patterns in the crisis reports. Many conflicts were territorial disputes like this one. Legitimate grievances being exploited. Someone was stirring tensions across the sector in a coordinated way. She shared concerns with Slate. What if the crises aren't random? What if they're orchestrated? Slate cross-referenced with ancient dragon records. Pearl recognized a pattern from 2,000 years ago. The Syndicate Wars. Criminal organizations creating conflicts to profit from weapons and chaos. Emergency alerts interrupted their investigation. Massive coordinated attacks across 4 systems simultaneously, all happening at once. Impossible for 4 dragons to address a message transmitted to all council worlds. The Age of Dragons is over. New power rises. Lena stared at tactical displays showing 4 separate fires. Slate's voice was grim. It's the Syndicate. They're back, and they've been planning this for years. For systems burning at once. Lena stood in Draconeer Station's command center watching alerts multiply across displays. Mining station under assault. Colony evacuating under fire. Trade hub losing life support. Research outpost cut off from all communication. Point 4 crisis points. For dragons. The mathematics of catastrophe. We can't be everywhere, Captain Stone said grimly. Even with dragons, we have to choose which ones to save. No. Lena's voice was firm. We save them all. Dr. Wells pulled up historical data on the Syndicate. Criminal network from 2,000 years ago that thrived on creating conflicts, selling weapons to both sides, profiting from chaos. Dragons dismantled them once. Now they were back. Counselor Bryn transmitted from the capital. This proves dragons need council oversight. Your approach failed. General Cross appeared eager. Give me command. Military precision can handle this. But Lena saw what they didn't. The Syndicate wanted dragons spread thin, reactive, playing defense. We're not fighting for battles, she said. We're fighting one war. Her plan was risky. Instead of sending 1 dragon to each crisis, identify the Syndicate's central command. Cut off the head. Handle immediate crises with minimal dragon presence while focusing strength on dismantling the organization creating chaos. Captain Stone protested. People will die while we hunt the source. Even Slate hesitated. Leaving people undefended goes against everything we are. If we chase each fire, they'll keep lighting more. We have to stop the arsonist. Lena showed the pattern. All 4 attacks designed to pull dragons into prolonged engagements. Once committed, Syndicate planned to hit defenseless civilian centers. Ash supported her. She's right. Time to change tactics. Vol taught me that sometimes protecting means striking first. They coordinated rapid response. Frost to the mining station for pure defense and extraction. Pearl to the trade hub using technical skills to stabilize life support remotely. Local forces given tactical support from Draconeer. Evacuation plans executed simultaneously. Lena, Ash, and Slate began tracking Syndicate command through attack coordination patterns. Dr. Wells analyzed communications. The trail led to an abandoned military installation at the sector's edge, heavily fortified, shielded from sensors. Perfect hiding spot that had been prepared for years. Reconnaissance revealed the leader. Varric, a weapons dealer who'd been supplying arms to conflicts across the sector. Not just profit-motivated. He wanted to prove council guardianship was obsolete. Replace dragons with mercenary forces under Syndicate control. Dr. Wells discovered financial links between Varric and General Cross's military contractors. Cross wasn't directly involved, but his push for militarization played into Syndicate goals. Lena faced a hard truth. Attacking the installation meant potentially killing Syndicate members. She'd never ordered lethal action before. Ash sensed her hesitation. This is the hardest part of being a guardian. Sometimes protection requires force. We're not executioners, Lena insisted. We disable the operation. Arrest the leaders. Let the council handle punishment. Slate warned this made it harder and more dangerous. Lena knew, but that's what separated them from criminals. The assault plan had 3 phases. Disable defenses. Infiltrate command center. Capture Varric alive. Timing was critical. Had to happen simultaneously with evacuation completions at the 4 crisis sites. If Syndicate realized their plan was failing, they'd trigger backup attacks. 3 hours to plan and execute perfectly. Reports came in. Frost holding defensive perimeter at mining station. Pearl stabilizing trade hub life support. Local forces successfully implementing emergency protocols. The coordinated defense was working. Ash dove from high orbit at the installation. Shields blazing as automated weapons opened fire. The ancient dragon absorbed incredible punishment, destroying platform after platform with 3,000 years of combat experience. External defenses neutralized in minutes. Slate breached the main entrance. Moved through corridors like a tactical nightmare. Syndicate mercenaries tried to stop him with advanced weapons. Slate incapacitated them without killing. Left unconscious bodies marking his path. Cleared route to command center and signaled Lena. She dropped from Ash directly into the breach facility. No combat training, just determination and a stunner rifle. Ran through smoking corridors following Slate's markers. Reached command center doors. Took a breath. Entered. Varric was surprisingly calm, watching monitors as his plan crumbled. The orphan girl. Quite impressive, actually. It's over, Lena said. Surrender. We can end this without more bloodshed. Varric laughed. You don't understand. I've already won. This proves 4 dragons can't protect a sector. The council will have no choice but to militarize. Even in defeat, I advance my goal. You're right about one thing. 4 dragons can't protect an entire sector alone. But we're not alone. We work with communities. Build networks. You see weakness. I see partnership. Varric triggered emergency protocol. The installation began self-destructing. If I can't have victory, I'll have your death. Dying stopping me makes you martyrs. Proves my point anyway. 60 seconds before reactor core exploded, Lena could run. Might escape, but Varric had information on other syndicate cells. Couldn't let that die with him. She stunned him. Grabbed his data device. Called for Ash. 30 seconds remaining. Ash punched through the installation's roof. Dragon fire melting reinforced metal. He reached into the command center. Grasped Lena and unconscious Varric. Pulled them free with 5 seconds to spare. The installation exploded behind them. Fireball consuming everything. They emerged from debris battered but alive. Varric secured. Data device intact with evidence of entire syndicate network. Reports confirmed all 4 crisis sites successfully evacuated. Minimal casualties. Coordinated attack failed. Syndicate plans in ruins. Council security arrested dozens of operatives. Evidence implicated corrupt officials and weapons manufacturers. Investigation would take months, but immediate threat was neutralized. Counselor Bren grudgingly acknowledged success. General Cross went silent, his contractor connections under investigation. Other council members praised Lena's strategy. The 6-month probation ended officially. Dragon's independence confirmed. Lena collapsed from exhaustion. Medical bay again. Dr. Wells monitoring. Ash maintaining vigil outside. Refusing to leave. When released, dragons gathered in the ancient roost. All 6 present. Ash, Pearl, Slate, Frost, Crimson, and Bronze. In dragon tradition, they formally acknowledged her as commander through shared flight. All 6 carrying her together through stars and ancient formations not seen since Vol's time. Other species watched in awe. This was dragon acceptance earned through trial and trust. The Galactic Council held ceremony officially recognizing Lena as Dragon Commander. She received Vol's old insignia. Simple pin of dragon and star intertwined. Ambassador Ka presented it. He would have been proud. You found your own way to the same truth. Director Hayes offered actual quarters. Captain Stone proposed training programs. Dr. Wells wanted to record her experiences for archives. Lena accepted everything. This was her life now. She looked at her reflection and saw someone different from the orphan technician. Still young, still learning, but no longer lost. Ash spoke for the dragons. You came to us in grief, stayed in confusion, fought in fear, yet never ran. Vol led us for 300 years. You have centuries ahead. We'll fly beside you through all of them. New crises would come. The sector was never quiet. But now Lena had foundations. Dragon trust, council recognition, developing skills, She stood on Ash's perch watching stars. Pulled out her parents' rings. I hope you be proud. I found a family. Strange one, but mine. Ash rumbled. Ready for the next crisis? Lena smiled. Do I have a choice? You always have a choice. That's what makes you worth following. They launched together into darkness. 6 dragons and 1 human. Watching over the sector they protected. From the station, beings of dozens of species watched dragons fly. Children pointed at the sky. Old hands who remembered Vol nodded with satisfaction. The Guardians had returned. 10 years later, the sector remained stable. Conflicts resolved through diplomacy more often than force. Lena had trained 3 other potential commanders from different species. Dragons number 12 now. Others emerging from isolation inspired by Ash's choice. Lena stood in the roost, teaching a young alien about dragon culture. They don't need you to be perfect. They need you to care. The student asked if she'd been scared when she started. Terrified. Still am sometimes. But fear means you understand what you're protecting. Outside, Ash waited. Patient as stone. Eternal as stars. The bond between them unbroken. In darkness between worlds, beings slept safely. Because dragons chose to care, and a human chose to stand with them.